You were warned that your newest crew member, a human, had vastly different biology from all other known races. This was made very clear when they drank all of the galaxy's strongest known poison, saying that they needed a drink of water. We were warned about taking aboard a human crew member, something about them having an odd biology, different from all known life. But they had the credentials we needed for an engineer that could work in high-heat environments for prolonged periods of time. Didn't think much of the squat little thing when they introduced themselves. Can't even tell whether it is a male or a female. Maybe they're hermaphrodites, that's pretty rare, but the environment suit it wore hid all details that might have betrayed its nature to us. They were polite, quiet, and dutiful. Never complaining, only interested in working and hanging out in that biosphere it packed in one of the hangars, saying it needed a small contained environment like its home, which is rare but not unheard of. Possibly it breathes an unusual gas like argon or pure helium or something, who knows? If anything, it seemed the least weird crew member, considering the sort of life forms I've worked with before. At least this one doesn't seem to drip corrosive acid everywhere or requires to mate once every rotation or it explodes. But I finally found out what made human biology so unusual when some of the other crew members wanted to invite the human to a game of Paradox Vostroyan draw. The human cautiously accepted, and it went fairly well, until they opened a bag and revealed a pressurized container with the words dihydrogen monoxide on it. Water, one of the single most dangerous, toxic, and poisonous substances in the universe. The human didn't notice, but we were all struck with fear, and worse, when they replaced a similar container on their environment suit, and through the suit's tinny speaker came the voice of the human saying, "Ah, lovely. Really needed a drink of water there." The human wasn't charging a weapon. They weren't going to suddenly poison us. The human was drinking water. I had to ask. If I did not, somebody else might have, and they'd have been less subtle. "Need a drink often?" The human shrugged. "Yeah, it slakes my thirst. Prefer some alcohol personally, but water is better to keep the head clear during a game." Alcohol, another high toxic substance. Suddenly the crew were a lot more quiet, but the human didn't notice much. We all played nice, even if we were sweating ammonia or hydrogen fluoride. But afterwards, the crew treated the human very carefully, and me, as the captain, I decided to look into what the human was replicating. To my immediate shock and horror, the human was consuming not only high amounts of water, but also alcohol, and though they had special dispensation codes, they were also eating capsaicin-infused dust on their food. A Class 3 chemical weapon. Worried, I looked up human biology, and found that the more I understood, the more distressed I became. Natural production of combat drugs, a life form with water as its primary solvent, only previously thought theoretically possible. Immunity to most chemical and biological weapons, and to top it off, they breathe oxygen, a dangerous flame-feeding gas. And yet, this being, completely and utterly poisonous to all known forms of life, was merely fixing power couplings, or testing plasma injectors. So I told the rest of the crew while the human was sleeping, just to play nice, and to not under any circumstances bother the human. Most agreed, but unfortunately, some idiots never listen, not even under threat, so when they tried to slice open the human's little biosphere, which served as their quarters, they were met with the burning heat of the human's warm planet, and with dangerous toxic water. I still see their corpses when I close all my eyes, distorted, scalded, partially melted. I had to send them home in sealed coffins. The rest of the trip was very silent. The human said nothing, only kept working, and the crew stayed clear of them, not wanting to experience the horrible death that their compatriots had suffered. When we finally got to port, the human was paid, just like the rest of us did, and then they left without a word, trying to secure passage on a cruiser full of silicate life forms. I had a quiet word with their captain, warning them that the human had an unusual biology, vastly different. I could have told them the truth, but who'd have believed me? A species that drinks and consists of the most deadliest poison known in the universe. Nobody'd ever believe it if they didn't look it up themselves, and even then. Truth is stranger than fiction, and the truth is that there is a race of extremely warm, poisonous beings that eat chemical weapons.